It was supposed to be forgettable. Another panel. Another night of curated opinions wrapped in polite smiles. A stage decorated with velvet and tradition. A moderator rehearsing questions designed not to provoke but to pacify. A crowd expecting mild sparks at most. But the universe has a way of reshaping evenings when the right forces collide. And this fictional night, this night did not belong to civility. It belonged to fire. The venue felt grand in a way that bordered on intimidating, arched ceilings ribbed with gold, chandeliers dripping crystal teardrops of light, marble floors gleaming like frozen water. The air buzzed with expectation long before the panel began. Students whispered feverishly. Journalists tightened their camera straps. Professionals checked their watches, pretending they weren't excited. They weren't here for policy. They were here for spectacle. Even if they didn't yet know it. A soft murmur rippled through the space as Barron Trump entered. Tall. Composed. Every angle of him carved by image and inheritance. His navy suit looked tailored to his bones. His expression carried a kind of control that suggested he had been taught how to fill a room long before he knew how to spell his own name. Some in the audience leaned forward. Others stiffened. His presence didn't shout, it loomed. When he sat, he didn't simply take a seat. He claimed terrain. Minutes later, another energy swept in, hotter, sharper, alive. Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett stepped out in a blaze of color, her blazer a flag of unapologetic boldness. Her stride was a declaration. Her presence didn't ask the room to shift. It forced it. If Barron was winter glass, smooth, cold, reflective, Jasmine was summer asphalt, warm, relentless, impossible to ignore. People rose to their feet. And they didn't rise out of politeness. They rose out of recognition. The moderator welcomed everyone with the strained cheerfulness of a man praying for calm. What does leadership look like for the next generation? He turned to Barron first. Of course he did. Barron offered a faint, calculated smile, the smile of someone who believed he already owned the night. Leadership, he said, is the ability to maintain order in chaos. It means respecting tradition, holding steady while others confuse noise for influence. Today, raw emotion passes for progress, but true leadership. He paused, letting the silence stretch, letting anticipation simmer. Is knowing when to speak and when simply to stand tall. Polite applause. A few impressed nods. The kind of reaction that comes from a well-polished delivery rather than the message itself. He didn't look at Jasmine. But everyone knew exactly where his words were aimed. Jasmine didn't react. Not yet. She simply blinked slowly, absorbing the room like a storm measuring humidity. The moderator turned to her. Congresswoman Crockett. Her smile wasn't sharp. It was surgical. Interesting take, she said. But leadership isn't a private school debate club. It's not crafted speeches and careful tones. Leadership is work. Leadership is risk. Leadership is speaking when others are scared into silence. A current of energy zipped through the room. She continued, voice steady as a held blade. Order is great, if you're already sitting at the top of it. But for the people I represent, order has meant waiting their turn, staying quiet, and following rules written without them in the room. The applause swelled. Not polite. Not mild. Earned. Barron's jaw flexed, just enough to reveal a hairline crack in his composure. The night had begun its transformation. The moderator, trying to maintain control, shifted the conversation. Does privilege shape a person's ability to lead fairly? Barron inhaled like someone about to deliver a masterclass. Privilege, he began, is not a flaw. It's an opportunity. Leadership isn't about what you're born into, but how you rise above it. Legacy is not something to apologize for, it's something to honor. His voice flowed like cold marble. Then he delivered the line that fractured the room. And sometimes the loudest voices are simply the ones trying hardest to be taken seriously. A few gasps. A scatter of laughter. A wave of, "Oh no, he didn't," energy washing across the audience. Jasmine didn't twitch. She simply stared ahead, expression serene, as if cataloging the moment for later. Barron mistook her silence for victory. Mistakes like that change nights. The ignition point. When Jasmine finally lifted her mic, the room tilted toward her like iron toward a magnet. "I always find it fascinating," she said, "when people treat leadership like a dialect only a select few are qualified to speak. Like if your voice isn't soft, it isn't serious." Someone in the audience whispered, "Oh, she's starting." She locked eyes with the crowd. "I didn't grow up in marble rooms. I grew up where lullabies were replaced by sirens. My leadership wasn't taught, it was lived. And when I raise my voice, I'm not auditioning." Her tone thickened with intensity. "I'm speaking for the people who taught me what truth sounds like." A roar of applause surged through the chamber. And still, she wasn't done. "You say leadership is composure," she said, turning finally toward Barron, "but what you really mean is leadership is comfortable when it looks like you." Barron's chest rose sharply, caught. "It's easy to stay calm when the system was engineered to cushion your fall. Easy to talk about legacy when legacy is a golden key you didn't have to forge." This time, the crowd didn't just react. They erupted. Barron swallowed. A small motion. But in that room, it felt seismic. The moderator attempted to steer the conversation to safer waters. But this was no longer water. This was wildfire. "What does influence mean in today's America?" he asked. Barron seized the moment, trying to rebuild the facade. "Influence is discipline," he said. "Passion burns bright, but it burns out. Real influence comes from quiet, consistent work. Not from clapping back on stage." He emphasized the words. He wanted them to sting. But Jasmine didn't flinch. She dissected them. "No one is denying the importance of discipline," she replied. "But let's not confuse calm delivery with competence. Plenty of people have whispered while signing policies that devastated whole communities." The audience hummed, vibrating with tension. Barron leaned forward. "So truth only exists when it's loud?" She turned to him slowly, beautifully, devastatingly slow. "Truth doesn't always whisper," she said. "Sometimes it knocks the door off its hinges." It was the kind of line that doesn't just land, it anchors itself in memory. Thunderous applause. Chairs scraping. People rising slightly without noticing. The professor on the panel tried to mediate. "Well, I think both perspectives." With respect, Jasmine said gently, "Some perspectives come from books. Some come from bruises." The room went silent. Not because it was fragile. But because it was listening. From that point on, Barron wasn't participating in the discussion. He was reacting to it. His polished lines began to sound like recitations. His elegant composure began to feel like armor cracking along the seams. He kept glancing at the audience, as if searching for the approval that once arrived effortlessly. But Jasmine, she didn't look for approval. She looked for impact. Every time she spoke, the room leaned toward her. Every time he responded, the room leaned away. Influence wasn't shifting. It had shifted. When the panel finally closed, Barron stood with poise, offering tight smiles and brief nods as he exited. He moved like a man determined not to betray the exhaustion beneath his stillness. But something in his eyes had changed. It wasn't defeat. It was awakening. Jasmine didn't just exit the stage, she floated off it, wrapped in the electricity she had summoned. People didn't just applaud as she passed. They watched her like a landmark. In the hallway, conversations burst open like dammed water finally released. She dismantled him. He held his ground, but she shook the earth. She spoke from somewhere real. He wasn't ready for her. Barron talked legacy. Jasmine talked life. A journalist, packing up his gear, was asked what he thought. He smiled, tapping his pen against his notebook. Barron played chess, he said. Jasmine played life. And life always wins. Because this panel, this fictional clash of worlds, became more than a debate. It became a revelation. Legacy can teach posture. But only experience can teach presence. Barron brought image. Jasmine brought impact. He performed leadership. She embodied it. He relied on an inherited name. She relied on a hard-earned truth. And when truth walks into a room wearing its history like armor, no amount of polish can outshine it. In the end, Barron tried to outclass Jasmine. But Jasmine didn't need to outclass him. She transcended him. Because real power doesn't whisper. Real power echoes. Real power resonates. Real power speaks. And the world stops to listen.